The last 3 months forced me to realize I was living on autopilot. I don't want to look back on 2026 and see the same version of myself. It made me realize that if I don't make changes now, I'll be stuck in the same place come next year. So late last year, in the final quarter of 2025, as you guys know, I took a hiatus. I didn't make a grand announcement about it, which I apologize for. I missed you guys so much. I just needed to take time for myself. And before I knew it, that took 3 months. It turned into a 3-month break of a hard reset. I had a lot happening in my life, and I'm going to share that with you guys now, along with some tips on leveling up and becoming the CEO of your own life. So let me take you back to November. November was the month where I really had to get real with myself and my finances. And I had the financial wake-up call that I really needed. I'm a firm believer in God making you uncomfortable in order for you to grow, in order for you to stretch yourself and push yourself beyond your limits. So I had a financial wake-up call. I had a lot going on in my life at that time. And without getting into too much detail, it just really taught me the importance of having savings, the importance of having, not just having savings, but having a substantial amount in your savings if you can. In today's economy, I know it's extremely hard. Believe me, I do, because I work a 9-to-5 that is not on the highest end. It's not even on the middle end of income wise. And it's very hard out here in these streets. I also live in New York, which is one of the most expensive states/cities to live in. I live just outside of New York City. So I feel like having your finances in order is a major big deal. Living anywhere, but definitely living in New York. I'm grateful for my support system and all of that above, all of that. I can't even get the words out. All of that plays in the back of my mind. However, it's still up to you at the end of the day to care for yourself, because only to what circumstances and to what extent your circumstances are looking like. You know what I mean? So I had a real financial wake-up call in November. I just remember going to work, going through the motions, going on autopilot, literally just waking up, eat, sleep, repeat. The most I was trying to do at the time, for sure, in November, was I was thinking about you guys. I was like, oh my God, I haven't filmed on YouTube in forever, but I'm also exerting so much energy in the field of work that I am in. And it was just coming to a point where I'm like, this can't go on, because I'm going to tap into burnout if I continue to exist like this. Can you guys see me just popping off these nails off my fingers, by the way? Anyways, come to the month of December, and literally what I just said to you about the burnout creeping in, I had hit a wall of emotional exhaustion. And some major red flags that I started to notice was Sunday scaries. You all know this one. Sunday scaries are when Sunday hits and suddenly, and it doesn't even have to be late in the day on a Sunday. It could be waking up on a Sunday morning dreading going back to work. That whole day just completely fumbles your Sunday, especially if you don't have plans on a Sunday. Even if you had plans, sometimes you're so burnt out that you could be at a girl's brunch, Sunday brunch, thinking about not going back to work. You know what I mean? Just those brief moments. Another thing I noticed was decision fatigue. I would come home to my loved ones burnt out and snapping, which I'll get into a later point. Just because I'm like, I make decisions all day at work, and now to come home and to be a household manager is just too much on my plate right now. So decision fatigue was something that you'll notice, or is something that you'll notice about yourself if you know you're emotionally exhausted. Compensatory revenge. I know I just butchered that word, but basically what it means is that, and we all know this to be as doom scrolling or just couch rotting or bed rotting. What it means is that you come home, you clock out from work, and instead of having a productive evening, you're just using up those hours you have to yourself, you wind up binge watching a TV show or doom scrolling on the internet, and you just clock it or chalk it up to be, okay, I am claiming back the time that I lost all day at this job. You know what I mean? So it's okay if you want to watch a little show here and there. When you get lost in it for hours to the point where you're staying up past your bedtime, then it's a real sign that something else is going on there. High functioning dissociation. Oh my God, I know we can relate. When you drive to work, or you're driving home from work and you remember getting in the car, you remember turning on that ignition, but somehow you don't remember how you got home. That's a major red flag. You're still driving, your body, your senses are all there. You're able to pick up when somebody cut you off on the highway. But the fact that you don't remember how you got from point A to point B, that is major. Another thing that I noticed was happening was resentment leakage. And that also ties into what I was saying before about the decision fatigue, which is you start to get a little snappy over the most minor inconveniences with the people you love, simply because you're dealing with all of this high stress. You know what I mean? And then the last thing, this is the deal breaker for many. For some, I don't know how you're managing it, but for me, this was what made me say, I need a break from all of this. Physical somatization. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that word correctly, but basically what it means is that now that you're ignoring the stress that you're going through, your body's going to start signaling to you, hey, we're stressed out. We need to figure something out. And figuring something out could be as simple as taking that workout class first thing in the morning or right after work so that you can blow off that stress. Going to the spa once a month or once every couple of months, that really helps. You have to pour back into yourself because you are losing so much of yourself in these work environments. You know what I'm saying? So that was what I was experiencing in the month of December, which is so ironic because it's just like right before the new year and me getting ready. But I was forced in that month of December to just sit in that moment of reflection and really just looking back on my year and sitting with myself and telling myself the reality is I don't like how life is looking for me right now. And I want to change that. Which brings me to January, realizing I'm shrinking myself in a role that I no longer love. I won't go too deeply into that. Let's just say that January is a real pivotal month for me. And that's where I was these past 3 months. So then this is where the shift starts to happen. And by the shift, this is where you start to really sit there, reflect on everything in your life that's happened in this 365 days in the year. And you start to break it down into bullets. You want to take ownership. You want to start tracking your money differently. You want to start becoming more disciplined. You want to start moving in silence. And you want to start planning instead of reacting. This is where you are really going to become the CEO of your own life and you're truly going to level up in 2026. You need to take ownership. We have to start there. You have to take ownership over everything that's happened, the things that are solely in your control and your control only, not the things that are out of your control. Tracking money differently. I know this is not just for me, but this is also for my ladies out there who are wanting to be better at their financial life, so to speak. So for me, I know that this year I need to track my money in a different way. Last year, I was making sure every dollar had a job. This year, I'm going to be using different tools that'll help me hold myself accountable and make sure I'm keeping track of what's coming in and what's coming out. I think last year I did a really good job at tracking what is the expected income for this month and what needs to be paid and what money is my spending money for the month, things like that nature. So now it's time to take it up another notch. And by taking it up another notch, we need to become more disciplined with ourselves, and we need to be more disciplined with our spending habits, our saving habits. We need to become more disciplined with even building those routines in life, because if you are in a job that you hate, then you need to capitalize on every second of every minute of every hour that you spend outside of that 9 to 5. And if that means waking up at 4:30, 5 a.m. in the mornings just to have that time for yourself, whether that's reading a book, slowly drinking your tea, slowly waking up, doing a mat Pilates class, whatever that looks like, that's going to help you pour back into you before you have to pour yourself into others' cups, especially as Black women, then you need to do it. You have to become disciplined, because otherwise this life, I'm telling you, it drive you into the ground. It's just going to drive you into the ground. We can no longer live our lives on autopilot. Moving in silence. This is something that I struggle with. I wouldn't say I struggle with it entirely, but to some extent, I'm really good at moving in silence when it comes to people I don't like. If I'm keeping it a buck with you, if I don't like you, you're not going to know my moves. You're not going to know this. It's really when it comes down to everybody who's in my circle, who's in my life. I love you. I cherish our relationships together, but just understand that you're not going to know X, Y, and Z about my life until I cross that line or that finish line or reach that goal. And then I'm ready to share. Now this is really happening. Now I can share. I'm also a big believer in just jinxing yourself and all of those things when you share good news a little bit prematurely. You know what I mean? So that's really what I mean by moving in silence. And then planning instead of reacting. We need to start planning. I am currently reading the infamous Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I'm finally breaking ground into those habit stacking skills and tips that I need. And with that said, planning instead of reacting, I feel like a major arc in my life in the last couple of years, not just 2025. It was just that 2025 for me was clearly a year of being more woke and awakened to everything that's going on and seeing things happen and pan out in real time and seeing how, okay, I could have did this to be 10 steps ahead to be prepared for this versus this is now happening to me. And now I'm reacting this kind of way. You know what I mean? So in 2026, I'm really trying to channel a mindset of that CEO who's got the company on their back, and you have to be 12 months ahead of the game. You can't be doing this stuff in real time. So what I've been doing is this year, I did not make a vision board. However, I do have a big calendar. That's me blurring out the cuss word, but I ordered it from Staples. You can find it at your local Staples center, or if you want to go on Amazon, whatever you prefer, you can get a yearly calendar. That's what I mean by big calendar. I am done with the month to month. I still have the month to month or the monthly ones in my planner, like my actual notebook planner. But as far as seeing my calendar year ahead and planning quarterly versus planning weekly to monthly, I feel like I'm in a better space because now I can see what's to come months ahead. And sometimes I jump even out of the quarter and I plan. If I already know that we are in the month of February and we're in the month of March, because it's basically going to be March in a couple of weeks now at the time of me filming this. And I know that I have something planned later down the line, whether that's this summer or whatever, or that I may want to go to. Maybe I haven't had plans yet to actually attend or whatever. I'm going to put that stuff down on the calendar because now I can see it further down the line and I can now reverse engineer and plan towards it. You get me? So we need to start planning instead of reacting in real time. You need to stop asking yourself, why is this happening to me? And instead start asking, what am I building for myself this year? Whether it's something for yourself, whether it's something for your family, what am I building? So here's how you're going to become the CEO of your own life in 26. You need to audit your reality. Remember that story I told you, that little mini life recap I gave you guys at the beginning of this video? You need to sit down, grab your pen and your paper, and you need to audit your reality. You need to sit down and assess your money. Sit down and assess your career, your habits, your environment. Because let me tell you something, these 4 pillars really contribute heavily to the trajectory of your life, where you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years, where you see yourself in the next 7 to 10 years. You know what I mean? As much as we don't want to centerize money and we want to decenter money, we essentially need money to just survive in this economy. And this year, let me tell you something. We are doing more than surviving with our money. We have to figure out ways to make our money work for us and not us working for the money. Because I think that that's a heavy truth that a lot of people don't talk or speak on much. And I just want to open the floor for that topic. Comment down below something that you've learned from a family member, from a friend, about money in real time in your own life, because it's important. I feel like we should be having these conversations with people. We just really should. And even if that's not somebody who's personally in your life, but maybe it's a colleague or whatever, we need to be having these real conversations. Career. Audit your reality on your career. Is this something that I see myself doing for the long haul, or is this just a stepping stone into what it is I'm actually trying to build for myself? Habits. I told you guys earlier, I'm currently reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I am loving every line of that book so far. It's just so transformative. It's just beyond the amount of information I've learned in just a few short chapters so far, and I'm already applying that to my life. Let me take something, for example, that I can pull off the top of my head really quick. I reached a part in the book, I'm still in the beginning of the book. I reached a part in the book where he broke down habits to its core. And I'm not just talking about habit stacking, waking up each morning, I spread my bed, I have a cup of water, I drink some water for the day, I get dressed to work out, I work out. No, I'm not just talking about habit stacking. He breaks down why habits are in our lives, whether they're good or bad, and what they mean for us. So here's what I mean. So I reached a part in the book where he says, all behavior is driven by the desire to solve a problem. Sometimes the problem is that you notice something good and you want to obtain it. Sometimes the problem is that you are experiencing pain and you want to relieve it. Either way, the purpose of every habit is to solve the problems you face. He then goes on to break down habits into the 4 laws of behavior change. And what do I mean by the 4 laws of behavior change? This is what really hit home for me. There's the problem phase and the solution phase. In the problem phase, there's the cue, there's the craving. And then in the solution phase, there's the response, there's the reward. Here's what I mean. The cue, your phone buzzes with a new text message. The craving, you want to learn what's in the contents of that text message. The solution phase, your response, you grab your phone and you read the text. And the reward is you satisfied your craving to read the message. Grabbing your phone becomes associated with your phone buzzing. Does that not hit hard for you? Something as daily as picking up your phone to answering a text is a habit. Whether good or bad, it is a habit. Another habit. You wake up. You want to feel alert, so you drink a cup of coffee. You satisfy your craving to feel alert, so drinking coffee becomes associated with waking up. That one really hit hard for me because, girl, I can't tell you how many days I wake up and by the time I'm getting ready and I'm out the door to head on my morning commute for work, I have a cup of iced coffee in my hand because I want to feel awake and alive. Just reading this is like, I'm hoping that at least out of all the people that may see this video, somebody leaves with tips and help on just incorporating the importance of building those habits to better your life, because you're going to become the CEO of your life. I said this already. CEOs look at numbers, not vibes. So you're going to start raising your standards quietly. You're going to stop tolerating low pay. And by that, this may look like you are now sitting in a meeting with your bosses, negotiating for a pay raise, and if they don't budge on that, then you are looking for a job that will. You're going to stop tolerating low effort from yourself. For me, that looks like really pushing myself to get out of bed and get on that workout mat to do my mat Pilates that I said I wanted to do at 5:30 a.m. in the morning. We're going to try. You know what I mean? Stop tolerating draining spaces. Now, for many of you, this looks like declining an offer to go invite to a place that is not going to cater to who it is you're becoming. You know what I mean? I don't think I even need to break that down further. Let me say it again. Stop tolerating draining spaces. Whatever that looks like for you, stop it in its tracks this year. Another thing we're doing this year is we're not just setting goals and intentions for the new year. We are building systems, because let me tell you, systems are going to get you to where you want to be further in life than just making a new year goal or a new year resolution. And by building systems, you need to build that morning structure that we just spoke about. You need to start budget tracking. You need to start doing a weekly review. Don't just write down, and this is something that I'm actively taking steps to change. Don't just write down things in your planner. Make sure you're going back at the end of each week to really go over, did this really happen? Did I do this? Whatever it needs, or even if it didn't happen, what steps can I take to make sure that I am on track to accomplish this task by next week? You know what I mean? Something else that I'm working on that I feel like would be beneficial for you guys as well is thinking in a 12-month strategy and not a 30-day emotion. Let me say that again for the girls in the back. Think in a 12-month strategy and not a 30-day emotion. This is something that I'm actively working on myself. And it's just, you need to focus on where do you want to be by January of 2027. And reverse engineer it. That's mature ambition. That is forwarding your vision. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not stagnant anymore. 2026 is already decided for me. I just have to build it. Comment below if 2026 is already decided for you too. And I hope to see you guys here in the next video.